Hi y'all, I'm Dave with the McCall Outdoor Science School, and today we're going to be looking at plant diversity. In southern Idaho, spring is here, and the insects and the birds are starting to make their songs. So we're going to be using what's called a transect line. A transect line is used in ecology to study biodiversity in a given area. So it's done by stretching a line across two different ecosystems, and then you can measure things like plant life, insects, trees, canopy cover, anything around you. The great thing about this is that you can do a transect line anywhere you want. You can do it out in the forest, you can do one in your backyard, or maybe in your garden. Just watch out for stepping on your mother's plants. Some of the materials you're going to need for this are a rope. I'm using a clothing line, but any twine would work. A measuring tape or a ruler to mark off your intervals. A marker to mark out your intervals. A pair of scissors to cut your rope to the desired length if needed. And your data sheet to record your data. So the purpose of using a transect line is to be able to measure the amount of biodiversity in a given segment. So as we're going through this, we're going to be stopping at each selected interval, so mine is 2 feet, and we're going to be looking at about a foot on either side of that in that area, and we're going to be counting the number of species of plants that we see, and also the total number of plants, and we're going to record those in our data table. When placing your transect line, you want to find an area that's a good representation of the ecosystem that you have at hand. Okay, so this is where I've set up my transect line. Here I'm using this trail as a halfway point, and what I'm looking at today is going to be plant diversity and abundance between this uphill area as it goes down into a lowland area that's closer to a water source. Now a lot of different things can change this factor, and so you can compare what you're looking at with maybe plant diversity to also insect diversity. How do the insects change? What about maybe birds? What is the canopy cover like? So feel free to look up, look down, look around, and create some variables that might change it. So on my line, I've marked it every foot. For this experiment, for what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be measuring data every 2 feet to give me a little bit more space as I'm working. Depending on what your ecosystem is and how you guys want to do this, you can choose whatever spacing you want, whether it's 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, maybe it's a quarter mile if you have a really long transect line, totally up to you guys. So for example, right here is 6 feet from our center line. Now I'm going to be measuring from this line, or from this mark, 5 feet up to 7. And I'll be doing about 2 feet on either side as well. So when counting my plants, I see 3 different species in this area. I see this one, species number 2, and species number 3. Now when measuring these species, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's just one of this species A, and 1, 2, and 3 of species C. Now I'm not going to count these ones because they're a little too far out of my transect line. So when filling in my chart, I'm at 6 feet, and I'm going to measure 11 plants total and 3 different species. Now it's important as you're setting up a transect line to know your different ecosystems, and in some of them they might be dominated by a certain species. So as you can see behind me, it's very dominated by grass. So I can maybe put that in my notes on my data table, and that way I don't have to measure every single blade of grass that I see.